And we are live. What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to Beyond the 90. We've got a very special guest for you today. We have got Strasbourg Steve. Steve, massive Newcastle fan. Steve, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good, bro. Enjoying the Europa League today. But yeah, I don't know if I'm going to be enjoying the game on Saturday, but we'll get into that. But I'm doing great, man. Doing great.
Yeah, I'm glad. And also, again, just mentioning that Steve will be going live if you're watching this live in an hour's time, make sure to go to check out his channel. Link is in the description and in the title as well. So let's just start at the beginning. Just looking at your record at the moment, I can't believe you were in 12th position, but let's just bring up the table. 5 wins, 5 draws, 5 losses. Newcastle are sitting at this moment in time, again, in 12th position. What have you made so far? What have you made of them so far this season, Steve?
I make of it exactly what our record suggests, bro. Look at that right there. 5 wins, 5 draws, 5 losses. Inconsistent. What's the difference between us and Spurs? What's the difference? The difference is that they draw a bit less, but they lose a little bit more and they've won another game. That's the difference. Bro, we're inconsistent. We can show up and play good against Arsenal at home, Liverpool at home, Manchester City at home, collect what? That's 3 points Arsenal, 2 draws. So that's 5 points out of 9 that, like, you could have easily gone 0 for 9. And then you have Brighton. Brighton at home, loss. Going away to Fulham, getting absolutely clobbered. 3-1 loss there. Bournemouth, extremely fortunate to get a point. Wolves away, extremely fortunate to get the win. We were down for 1-0, playing poor for a lot of the game, but then we get 2 great goals towards the end of the game. We're an inconsistent, poor side, really. There's not too much, it's not much there, bro. We're either attacking really well and defending really poorly, or we're defending really well and not attacking well. Midfield's been inconsistent. Eddie Howe hasn't found a front 3, hasn't found a midfield 3. There's a lot of issues, bro. And this is, the window in the summer wasn't good enough. My manager's not good enough anymore. And yeah, we're about a 12th place team. We'll probably end up in the season probably about 10th. Either us or Spurs are going to end up 10th because that's a microcosm of what both teams are. You can win against Man City 4-0, lose to Ipswich. You beat Arsenal, lose to Fulham. That's just what we are, bro. Very, very inconsistent. So maybe we turn up on Friday or on Saturday and win 4-1. We could also lose that game 1-0, 2-1 easily, or 3-1. Like it is what it is, man.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't sound great at the moment, obviously, with the inconsistency. I want to get into some of the comments and then I'll get into some of the specific bits. Big up to Sean. Steve, you might remember Sean sometimes. He appears on Shameless FC. You'll see both of us there on K for Lewis's channel. Tom's in the chat. Big up, Tom. Hope again, good saying to you, that's how you're doing. This is the next point. He's got, is it Howe out, Steve? Because again, he's been there, 3.5 years now?
Yeah. About 3.
It's a long time in management.
Yeah. And he's done a good job. But the thing is that it was on an upward trajectory, like up until a certain point, and then last year happened, and a lot of results that obviously the injuries don't help when you're trying to get results in this, but some of them were just unacceptable. Some of the in-game management, some of the starting 11 decisions, some of the decisions in the transfer market from Eddie Howe, some of the decisions from the boardroom level. Like there's not a lot going right now, but we are in a better position since Mike Ashley left, but I could have taken over with my, I'm not a millionaire. I could have run it better than Ashley. So, but we need to, if we want to actually do something, if we want to actually be somebody relevant in the Premier League and in European football, even on a small scale, then we have to do a lot better. That's just what it is. And I don't think Eddie Howe's part of that anymore. Mm-hmm. He's done well, done really well. Cup final, did lose that, unfortunately. Got top 4. We've had some very, very, very good wins over the years at home and away. Beating Paris Saint-Germain getting a draw, away to them as well. We beat Man United a handful of times, given Man City a few good games, gotten some positive results versus them. We've gotten, wins versus Arsenal. We've smashed a few teams up by a lot of goals. We've done good things, but those days are over, really. He's not the guy anymore. We saw this at Bournemouth. He took them from a very low level, League Two. They were about to go bankrupt. They went to the National League. They would have been probably toast as a football club. He took them up the divisions, and I think finished 8th or 9th one year in the Premier League. They were knocking on the door of Europe. But then there was a certain point where they did get relegated, and time was up for Eddie Howe, and he stepped aside for a season or two, tried to improve himself as a manager. We saw that with our defensive solidity when we first got him. That was one of the complaints about Bournemouth. Nobody questioned that they were a good side going forward with Wilson, Fraser, all these guys. But they eventually did. They just didn't. You hit your ceiling as a manager. That's exactly what's happening here. Like, we're not going to make Europe if we keep him the whole season. There's no chance because we're not consistent enough, don't have good enough depth, and he doesn't know his best 11.
Which is surprising because there's a lot of good quality players in your team. We'll get to some of those in a bit. So there is a lot of, well, I'll get into a specific bit because over the summer, again, I don't expect you to know too much about it. Dan Ashworth obviously was at you. He's then left Man United. Now he's left completely. He's gone. We don't know where he's going now.
Yeah.
What did you make of all that situation? Because again, lots of people say Man United are back. We take a plea from Man City. Would you think he was a miss, or do you think he kind of cocked up the last window? Because you went from signing some smart signings to some players where I was like, that's a lot of money risky on a player. Yeah.
I think with Ashworth, here's the thing. I don't want nobody at my club that don't want to be here. I don't care if you're Alex Isak or Sean Longstaff. If you don't want to be here no more, for your sake and mine and the club's, it's best if you move on. That's just what it is. So Ashworth wanted to take a chance at the Man United job. I don't begrudge him for that. It would have been an upgrade in salary. It would have been, a project that he found intriguing. So, all right, cool, dip. That's fine. But and the thing is, I think we appointed a good sporting director in place of him, Paul Mitchell. That's not a downgrade. That's not a downgrade. So we don't. But the problem is that our CEO Darren Neals unveiled a few months ago that he's dealing with cancer and he's stepping down. So, and he's a big part of the team for the transfer committee. So that's maybe part of the reason why we didn't sign anybody. I've said the PSR issues as well. That's why we had to sell Elliot Anderson to Forest. That's why we had to sell Adingra to Brighton for about 30 or 40 million. That's why we didn't really but the thing is that you still have to make something happen. The Gahey thing was just, it's a joke. It's like when Man United were chasing De Jong for that whole summer, and you knew damn well, and De Jong said it out of his own mouth, and Barcelona said they're not selling him. He's not going anywhere. Stop trying. They even flew out there, and guess what? They still didn't get him. We basically did something similar with Mark Gahey. We did not meet their evaluation on price. They were not budging. They had already sold Olise. They had already wanted to keep together what they could out of Crystal Palace's squad. They weren't going to sell Gahey for what? I think it was less than 65. We didn't meet that price. So guess what? He didn't join. So that was a big screw up. And the fact that we only brought in Osula from Sheffield United and Vlachodimos for the Elliot Anderson thing was a PSR thing. Vlachodimos, that's just, he's a third choice goalkeeper. It doesn't help us at all. Yeah, we like Kelly on a free, okay, whatever. Like, he's okay. He's a decent center half, but we wanted to bring in Gahey. that was the thing. So yeah, we didn't do anything. We made little to no attempt at actually improving the 11 or the squad. Made a nominal improvement in the squad with Lloyd Kelly, but the problem is we lost Elliot Anderson, and he is now a loss to the midfield because he is way better than Sean Longstaff. Adingra would have been a starting right winger if he stayed, because he is way better than Almiron. He is way better than Jacob Murphy. He's way better than if you put a Harvey Barnes on the right wing. He's way better than if you have Joelinton play on the right wing for part of the game. He's way better than Gordon. All of those, by the way, have played on the right wing this year. Gordon's played a little bit on the right. Barnes played a little bit on the right. Joelinton, Jacob Murphy, and Almiron's barely played. He's woeful. So our right wing options are terrible. They're probably the second from bottom in the Premier League. There's so many right wingers in this league that start for Newcastle United, like actual right wingers. At this moment in time, Brennan Johnson would start for Newcastle United. That's not good. And most Spurs fans don't think Brennan Johnson is any good. Your right winger is
Casey McAteer.
Or Casey McAteer. McAteer would start for Newcastle United on the right wing right now. You would.
That's not a good look. I think, again, apologies if my internet has just been all over the place.
Minta. Thank you, Sean James. Minta, not Adingra. Minta.
Yeah,
right. Minta.
Apologies again. Sorry, Steve. Apologies, my internet's just it's a shambles at the moment. But I'm good. I try my best without actually leaving, coming back. But again, in terms of that, again, just get some of the comments. In terms of how out, again, and Tinder mentioned that as well, about how being out. Sean's asking that as well. Yes. And this is so in terms of the next manager you want, instead of getting a specific name, what kind of attributes would you be looking for?
I want a manager that plays back three, or I want a Spanish manager. Because if you look at Spanish managers in the Premier League, they usually do quite well. They usually really do quite well. And if it's not either of those, I'd like someone that plays like a 4-3-3, something like that. But yeah, for managers, people always ask, "Oh, well, who?" They ask me of all people. I watch a lot of football around the world. People ask me of all people, and they try to say it as there's no better options right now available than Eddie Howe, which is nonsense. Because if you pay the money, you can get someone that you like. So there are plenty of I could name all of them if you want. So I'm not fazed or intimidated when people go with that. And people did that with you with Cooper, for God's sake. Like it's one of my pet peeves of football nowadays. Oh, who are we gonna bring in that's better than this guy? Bro, watch some football, man. Watch some football. You can find managers out there. This isn't and what are we gonna do? Just keep him for the end of time? What are we gonna it's ridiculous, man. It's ridiculous. So, but yeah, I would want a manager that plays back three, because I think that's the new way of football. You look at Gasperini at Atalanta; they've had a lot of success with the back three. Inzaghi, Alonso, Pep has played with a back three before. I like the fact that it will get all of our midfielders in there. You could put, and as much as Dan Burn isn't good enough anymore, if you appointed this theoretical manager in the back three, you could put Dan Burn in the middle. He's the guy that heads everything out. You could put Shaw right center back, and then Lloyd Kelly left center back. Depth would be a problem, but in January, if you just got someone on a free or wherever, if you got another center back in there, Botman's coming back as well. Hopefully, he's been out for a very long time. He's out for he had the ACL injury, so that would be the route that I go down. You there? Oh, yeah, your internet's playing up. That's right. But yeah, smash up the likes, people, by the way. Are you back? You back?
Sorry, man. It's
all right.
It was fine before we went live, and then all of a sudden it's gone. And all of a sudden it's gone to nothing. So, again, yeah, appreciate again if you could like there. I think it's a good point again, and it makes sense with a back three. A lot of the main managers are playing this back three style at the moment. A lot of the top managers all having like the inverted wing fullbacks that are coming in as well. And you're right again, for the bits I heard about your ownership. Again, if there's anybody that can get anybody, it's your ownership, especially when it comes to managers. You can understand potentially even us with a transfer ban or with a points deduction going, oh, we can't get certain managers. and then we'll come into that in a second. But
Yeah.
I was thinking again, the step down from Maresca, who plays a back three, to Cooper was the biggest step down since Benitez to Bruce. That one for me, that hurt. And I understand your pain, but you had Seafood for a long time.
Yeah, he was awful. I like that guy don't exist to me anymore. That guy, like, is one of the ugliest eras of football. Like, I'm probably one of maybe 100 new like brand new Newcastle United, well, relatively brand new, been supporting since 17, 18. But that was under Rafa. I doubt anybody picked up Newcastle United as their Premier League club to follow around the world when they appointed Steve Bruce and watched that, because it was ugly, very ugly. So, but yeah, you're right about Rafa, because Rafa Benitez, yeah, he's not known for playing slick, exciting, attacking football, but Rafa Benitez had us well organized. We had clear style of play, not good players at all. It was a relegation fight for as long as he was here in the championship year, but he got fed up with Ashley. And then when we appointed Bruce, it was a miracle of God that we didn't get relegated. Two men get the credit for keeping us up: Alan St. Maximin, and then number 1 Callum Wilson, because he was the one that was bagging us goals. Those two guys like carried us somehow to Premier League safety for a few years. So, but yeah, Bruce to Benitez to Bruce was a woeful drop off. And yeah, you're with Maresca to Cooper. Yeah, it's two different universes of football. It was terrible, and it was predictably terrible.
It really was. Again, apologies if I don't know what's happening at the moment. But sorry if I'm interrupting you as well.
Sorry.
But yeah, so you mentioned is I'm with you, and I think a couple of other things I want to mention. Obviously, you mentioned about the ownership. I want to touch on one player that we've not mentioned so far that, again, we sold to you just about 15 months ago now. How have you found Ashley Barnes since you signed him? I think we spoke about he's kind of, you know what he's going to do, but what he does, if people aren't aware of it, he does it very, very well. How have you made of it? Because this season, he's kind of found form.
With Harvey Barnes, I'm a fan of the player. I thought he'd done a decent job at Leicester. I think we paid a little bit over the odds for it, but I think that's just how the transfer market nowadays, you kind of have to move. Like, you can get bargains, but you ain't going to get many bargains in the Premier League when you're buying from another English club. You're really not, unless you're going championship and below. Like, it's hard to find genuine bargains in the Premier League unless it's a player with 1 year left or on a free or whatever. So, like, we did overpay him for a little bit. However, like, one of the bigger problems is just the availability. Yeah, he's actually been available a lot of this season. Last season, it was frustrating because he would hit some good form. Maybe he wouldn't like score in games, but he would score. Then the next game he'd play really well, maybe create something. But yeah, he's a good enough backup to Anthony Gordon. But the problem is that we haven't signed a right winger in about 5 years. That's actually played for us. We signed Minte. We did sign Yakuba Minte, but he didn't play a single game for us. We went on loan to Feyenoord last year, and then Brighton bought him. So we bought a right winger, but he never played for us. So we've technically not bought a right winger that's actually played for us since about 2018, 2017. And this is why we have amongst the worst right wing depth in the league. So, yeah, Barnes is a good enough backup left winger to Gordon for sure. But like, that wasn't when you're trying to strengthen your team, it's fine to get squad players, but if there's holes in your starting 11, you need to plug those holes in. It's great having two good left wingers. I think Gordon is better than Barnes, so it's calm to have that. But like, when you have terrible right wing options, then you're not going to do much, man, because you need to plug the holes in your 11, and then you can worry about squad players. So Barnes has been a okay signing for us. If I had to give it out of 10, probably about a 6. And I was expecting about a 7.
It makes sense as well.
Yeah.
I think Barnes is, again, you're right. But the thing is, for a backup, again, I'm with you. And it's an example of under the Ashley era, what went, you needed a right winger and you didn't have the quality and depth there. And then all of a sudden, again, that's kind of poor mass management. Or get a player that can at least play in the 10, that can play right wing and then can play left wing. You know what I mean? Some of these players that come, as well, that are coming out of the Dutch league that can play all across the front line, and some of the brilliant players that you could. Somebody like, again, not saying an exact player, but somebody like a Lookman can play as a striker, then can play as a false 9, can play up top with somebody, can play right wing, can do all those options. I think that would work really nicely because he'd fit in that position. But just getting in some of the comments again. Apologies for the internet. I don't know what's happening. Sometimes this just happens. Again, make sure you go subscribe, Steve. Steve, before I forget, mate, you're going live in about 40 minutes?
Yeah, about 40 minutes for Ajax Lazio. Yes, sir. Yeah, looking forward to that. So, yeah, that's how I got going on.
So make sure you check. Make sure you check the link in the chat or in the title. You'll be able to go to Steve's channel after that as well. Let's get into some of the comments as well relating to that. Actually, some interesting ones on tender item as well. One that I'd love to have, Nagelsmann would be an absolute choice. I think he's Pep's Sir Alex Klopp kind of manager. I mean, Nagelsmann would be a statement signing for if you're going to actually go, I'm going to be a serious manager, and he would drag that team up the league. It'd be a little bit of a gamble, but I don't think it'd be too much.
Well, with Nagelsmann, he's managed at Bayern München, won titles, and with Germany, Hansi Flick didn't do great with Germany. They were in a transition era, but now Nagelsmann has a very good up and coming crop of young German players that he's doing really well with, and I expect Germany to do really well at the 26 World Cup. So I think he's preoccupied with that, but maybe we could buy him out. But the thing with Nagelsmann is I just don't see. He's focused on the Germany World Cup. I'm not really trying to have a manager do 2 jobs at once because it's already stressful enough being a manager in football, regardless of the level. You could do League 2 teams, and you could this is a stressful job, and there's not many positions. It's hard to be a football manager in pro football. It's stressful. It takes a lot of your time. Your heart has to be in it. You have to be really committed. And I think it's very, very hard to do 2 jobs at once. I know that the international thing is a part-time job, but you still, Nagelsmann right now, I don't know what he's doing right now, but I wouldn't surprise me if he is looking at all the German players right now in the Europa League or the Conference League, seeing who deserves a call up, who's in good form. In the weekend, he'll be watching Bundesliga games, or so he's busy right now. And for me, I would take Nagelsmann, but I would be a bit concerned that the 2 jobs at once thing. But I'd take him over Eddie Howe right now. I would. There's no doubt in my mind. No doubt. So. You there? Yo, Neil, you could jump in and out if you want of the stream. Yeah, no, I'm not taking Potter, by the way, Scott. You there? No? Yeah, Neil's internet's looking like Steve Cooper, man. Got some Steve Cooper internet. Sean James about Michel Sanchez at Girona. Yeah, I'll take him. I would take him. Absolutely, I'd take Michel Sanchez at Girona. You there? You back? Not yet.
Yeah, sorry, man. Today's just not the day. But yeah, I'm with you. And also, something you mentioned at the beginning around, I think, and this might be a hot take of mine, and only because I heard this from Casper Michael, League 2 might be harder to manage than the Premier League. I'll tell you why. You get a Premier League job, you potentially ruin your career. Oh my God. you get another job in the Championship and you get a massive payout.
Yeah.
If you fail at League Two and you get promoted, people's mortgages are on the line, people's jobs are on the line, people's kids. Do you know what I mean? This is not something to play about with. You get, again, as bad as it was getting relegated, you know firsthand, you get relegated from the Premier League, it's awful, you feel crap. But there's an element to these guys will be okay. Your best players will go on to go to other clubs and they'll be absolutely fine. Compare that to, again, League Two, where you're losing mortgages, people are losing houses, people are losing their lifetime and got to go back to work.
Clubs could go bankrupt
just to make
ends
meet.
Could go bankrupt if you get relegated in National League. That's what Eddie Howe was dealing with at Bournemouth. And also, think about how many games you have to play. You have 46 games in League Two. If you make the FA, you have to do FA Cup first round. So that's another game. Carabao Cup, maybe you have a game or two. And then they have like an EFL trophy sort of thing. So that's like 52 games maybe. And then you have and then if you're in the promotion playoffs, you have to do a semifinal. No, if you have to do a two-legged tie to get to the semifinal, and then to the that's a lot. That's a lot of so. And you're not everyone around you in League Two. Anyone can beat anybody. So it's you're right.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Like managing professional football is very stressful. So doing two jobs at once, it's a bit of you have to be made of something different to do that. But I would still take Nagelsmann a heartbeat.
Yeah, no, 100%. And again, I saw your comments, but I will jump in and out in just a bit. I'll leave you for a second just on the last one, and one of the ones that I've got regarding that. Who's been your favorite player to watch this season?
Probably Lewis Hall. Because going forward, he brings a bit of something. He's a good technical player. Defensively, I think he's improved a lot. He's combative. Still gets caught out. He still has a lot of work to do on the defensive side of the game. But yeah, he doesn't mind having a shot. He doesn't mind. He plays some smart passes. I would have said Gordon going into this season. You know, Anthony Gordon's a lot of fun to watch. But Gordon hasn't been quite at it this year. I mean, Isak, some of the finishes are brilliant, but I'd probably say a Lewis Hall, to be honest. When Tonali plays, I enjoy watching him play. And that's one of the other things that Eddie Howe, there's just no excuses for why Tonali isn't playing, starting for us every game, because Bruno starts for us every single game. Fabian Schär starts for us every game. Livramento essentially starts every game. Lewis Hall starts essentially every game. Gordon essentially starts every game. Isak starts every game. So why is Tonali the Joelinton starts pretty much every game? So why is Tonali I don't get it. And then when he subs him off during the game for Longstaff, and then we go on to lose or drop points, it's like, oh, wow. I wonder who saw that coming. It's predictable, man. So,
yeah, I've been there, man. And it's because you mentioned that team is easily Europa League quality as the sum of its parts. I mean, just even the team that you played, even with injuries, and there was a little bit of an excuse before, but considering you don't have Europe, and I thought if you got Champions League 2 years in a row, I think you secured, because then you've got, right, I can build a solid position now, because you didn't get Europe after a while. Again, it has changed things. And just in terms of that, looking at your squad, you mentioned Shah. How many years has Shah been at your squad? And he's gone through so many managers and so many different eras and arcs. He just keeps going, doesn't he?
He's 32 years old, bro. We bought him from Deportivo La Coruña in 2017 or 2018, actually. So he's made 174 EPL appearances for us, and in total, he's made for Newcastle, he's made 203 in all comps. So he's been around for a while. And he's not good enough anymore, but that was one of the players that remarkably improved under Eddie Howe. Because no one's ever questioned his on-the-ball ability. He's very comfortable on the ball. Decent footballer, man. He can score some goals as well. He's got a good goal scoring record for us. He's in 203 appearances, he's got 18 goals. For a center, I'm not saying that's Sergio Ramos numbers, but that's pretty good. 18 and 200, not bad. Not bad for a center half. And some of the goals are spectacular, but Yeah, he's not quite good enough anymore. As a squad player, maybe, yes. But center half is definitely a position that we have to upgrade upon. That's why we wanted Gahey. Like if we did get Gahey over the summer, and then Botman whenever he comes back, that's a strong duo of center backs. Pretty strong.
Yeah, and then you can obviously, depending on the manager, because is Eddie Howe set on a back four? Is that his 4-3-3?
Yes.
And it's not changed since he arrived. It was great when you mentioned like Almiron, he was getting the most out of. Obviously Joe Linton, he was getting the most out of players wise. It just seems like the time's kind of run his race, not in a bad way, but just it's time to not. We hate him, he needs to go, like I was under Potter. That was going to be my next question. I was under Cooper, but it was an element of just thank you, but it is time. We've got to get somebody else now.
Yeah. Look, it is what it is, man. You've watched football for a long enough time. You know, we all knew months and months and months before Ten Hag needed to go at Man United. You know, right now Lopetegui, we all know he is not good enough for West Ham. They need to sack him immediately. If they don't, they're risking Gary O'Neill. You know, I feel for Gary O'Neill because he really didn't get much support. Like if you look at any of their lineups, you have one center back starting in your back three. You have Ait Nori playing out of position. You have a CDM at the right center back because like they have no other center halves. So it's like but he does still probably need to go, even though he does get a lot out of their attack. Defensively, they're rancid. So yeah, like that's the thing, bro. Like we know he needs to go, man. With Eddie Howe, like we're not going to do anything of note this year. We're just not. So I would bring in Jose's going to get sacked by Fenerbahce soon. They're 6 points off the league title for Galatasaray. They lost 2-0 to Athletic Club yesterday. Didn't really play all that well. So I think they'll probably get rid of him because they take no prisoners. Yeah, I would. And you know what? It's that I'm not usually like this, but with Newcastle United, we've not won a trophy since 1955. Jose Mourinho has won a trophy before. It's like it's a one night. Give me a one night stand, bro. No, but like if you told me that like Jose steps in and tries to win us an FA Cup this season, because in the league we're not going to do anything.
No,
and I'm not saying that Jose comes in, we finish. Yeah, we're not gonna. And I don't necessarily think Jose would get us Europe in the Prem. I don't. But could we go on a cup run with Jose? It's more likely than with Eddie Howe.
He would. Also, you know the identity, you know the formation, you know he's going to be here for a good time, not a long time. And you'd have to pay him off. But at the end of the day, it would work. Another player that people have mentioned is Graham Potter. And this is another name that's, again, I'm surprised that nobody's picked him up yet, but there's got to be a reason, even us. And I think this is, where has he gone? I think there was, again, Sean's mentioned this. I think Sean's from Canada, actually. I think a lot of British managers have a low ceiling right now, and the FA is pretty poor. I think that's it. It used to be quality, but the quality comes from abroad nowadays. How's the best manager?
Bro, the last English manager that was winning like top tier titles and winning champions, Brian Clough. It's the 70s and 80s with Leeds United and Nottingham Forest. Brian Clough was probably the last superb English manager. There's been nobody really close since then. Nobody.
Why do you think do you think they're just stuck in it? I think they're all old fashioned. The era's come in where Pep has gone. I know how to play football in the modern way, and I'm so good. I'm going to reinvent all these people to play around me. So, for example, you got your Artetas. Obviously, Maresca's coming in. I know, obviously, Tottenham aren't doing too well as well, but Postecoglou's come from that line of thought as well.
Iraola at Bournemouth. Yeah, we're talking about Spanish managers in the Premier League doing really well. And as much flack as Arteta gets, he does have Arsenal competing.
Yeah, with zero experience beforehand.
Right. So yeah, for me, that And I think English managers, I just don't think tactically they if you notice about almost any other nationality, they are everywhere. You see Italians in the Premier League, not like super often. I know they kind of stay in Serie A a lot, but like you see Italian managers go abroad. You see French players everywhere, Brazilians everywhere, Argentines, managers play like what's it called? Spaniards.
Even like
Spaniards will go.
German.
Yeah, Dutch, Belgians, like these people go a bit everywhere. So, but with the English, they really do stay at home a lot, with a few exceptions. But like that,
which is not necessarily a bad thing. However, it's not necessarily a bad thing if it was all working here.
Yeah,
you see what I mean?
Exactly. So, and you know what I think Potter's doing? I think maybe Potter's doing what Eddie Howe did. Because Eddie Howe didn't take a job immediately after his time was up with Bournemouth. He took a little bit of time off, and he went to do a job shadow essentially with Diego Simeone at Atletico Madrid. He went to rugby clubs, learned about winning culture, and tried to improve as a manager. He didn't take a job right away. Celtic offered him a job after they got rid of
Rodgers. No,
Lennon. He could have took the Celtic job pretty much right after the Bournemouth was done. He didn't. So I think maybe Potter's doing that right now. Maybe he's just taking some time off and going. And the thing is about Potter, he's been around Europe before. He has managed in
Sweden. That's it, isn't it?
Sweden and actually it might just be Sweden, yeah.
Okay, but still 2 more countries than the only other managers that go international are managers that are finished. I want to think of more international managers. So I'm thinking of either Steve McLaren's at Jamaica, Chris Hughton's he was at Ghana. I don't know if he's at Ghana anymore. But kind of managers that have kind of one last shout that I've got international duty in that, and I'm pretty much done.
Pochettino's clearly finished. Nobody wants him anymore.
Yeah. What do you think you can achieve with Poch as a US fan?
Nothing. I don't think he's any good, to be honest. I worry about a lot of our players like Pulisic, Tyler Adams, McKennie's had fitness problems over the years. Our goalkeeper position, USA used to have great goalkeepers. Howard, Casey Keller, like people.
Fraser.
Yeah, exactly. Probably if you were forgetting Brad Friedel, Fulham.
Tim Howard.
Tim Howard. I mean, the goalkeeper position for the U.S. We don't have a number one there. We don't have anyone of quality really anymore. So that's a problem.
We have a good
Turner.
Is that the main one, or is this?
Yeah, but he's fell off a cliff the past 2 years because he was looking like another Tim Howard, Friedel kind of guy. But then the Arsenal thing, he went from New England Revolution, my local club, actually. He went to Arsenal. That was never the right move because he was never going to be their number one. He should have gone to a mid-table club in one of the top 5 leagues, established himself, impressed, and shown that he was of the level of an Arsenal or whoever. So, bro, I don't think Poch we're going to do much under him because of the fitness thing. I don't think he's any good anymore. Really don't. Hence why he ended up taking the USA job. So
yeah, it makes sense. Again, I was so surprised, but at the same time, as you mentioned, it is a sign of a manager that's kind of on his way out. When they go for, like, again, Steve McLaren going to Jamaica, like, it's not because they obviously were favourite. It's just like, right, I've one chance to be final manager, then I'm probably going to hang up my boots. Hang up my boots to the manager. Sean's asking about your transfer, or what do you need? You mentioned a right winger as well. As a priority position, or is PSR still kind of hanging around as part of that as well?
No, I don't think the PSR thing's an issue. I don't think we're gonna do much in January because I think Eddie Howe's either gonna be sacked by then. We ain't gonna back him no longer. There's no way, because look at what we've done this year, man. Like, he's not gonna be our manager, so I don't think we'll back him. I think this summer is the most important in our history, other than during the 90s when we were contending for 2-3 years for a title. So I don't think we're going to do much in January. And then in the summer, we have to go big, 250, 300, new manager. Maybe we will depart probably with one of Isak or Bruno or whoever. We probably will. And then that could be part of why we can spend 250, 300, like what Brighton did this past summer. They spent a lot, and they brought in a brand new manager for that. So Paul and Paul Mitchell doesn't mind. He has a good eye for talent across Europe. He has a good eye for that. So I think that's when I get really, really invested. To be honest, like this game on Saturday, bro, I hope we win and all that. I don't think we will, but like I hope we win and all that. But like the Brentford midweek game, that's the only thing I got left, and the FA Cup run possibly coming up. I don't even think we win those, but that'll at least keep me interested on a real level. So that's how I feel about it, really.
Fair enough, man. I hear that because again, I'm just looking at some of the other bits, some other bits regarding this because again, you mentioned some of the favorite players. Again, you mentioned some of the players to watch. Well, you mentioned your favorite players. Who would be your player to watch ahead of that? So, before we go into the previous games, who's the player that you're like? That's a guy to keep an eye on. The people will obviously say the likes of Isak and Guimaraes, etc. Is there any other players that would be like that's an underrated player to keep an eye on?
I mean, our fullbacks probably because they don't mind going forward. They got a good bit of pace about them. Livramento hasn't been great this season, but like he's had some decent runs. But yeah, I would say Isak because he can just score. But I mean, Gordon's not really in great form. We're gonna probably start Jacob Murphy on the right wing. Like he'll put in a decent ball. He'll work hard, try his best, but he ain't good enough. So I'm not really feeling Saturday, bro. I'll be real, man.
I think your midfield, even with Murphy, etc., who I think Murphy's championship. I think he's doing well, but he's not good enough for like where you want to go. And he'll be fine for a team that's just coming up from the Premiership that would go down with them, and it'll be a top quality championship. But I'm with you. If I go and bring up, I just want to bring up something because give you a little bit of hope. We have a different. Our midfield has been destroyed over the last couple of weeks. Wilfred Ndidi is out ahead of this game for a few weeks with a light hamstring issue.
Right.
Harry Winks won't be ready. Boubakary Samari, who's been really turning up recently, he's not available. So if we're going to play a formation, I'll show you how Ruud's been setting us up so far. So we're going to basically, we play two formations, a defensive formation and an attacking formation. Defensive, we set up a 4-4-2. So I imagine this is how we're going to set up. We'll play like a box midfield. Oliver Skip comes in. Probably Hamza Chowdhury is another player that comes in. El Khanous and Buonanotte. But I'd say, again, in the chat, again, as you mentioned, no Ndidi, also Mori available. Exactly, Sean. With that, looking at that squad, because you watch, again, a lot of football.
Yeah.
With your current Newcastle side and how that midfield, what do you think about that midfield? Because I think it can be got at for sure, and you could definitely do something about this.
Yeah, it's not, they're average players at their very best days, Skip and Chowdhury. But the thing is like, as long as you're well organized, I worry about you guys on the counterattack with El Khanous, who I like that Ghent a lot, and Buonanotte as well. That guy is a very, very good playmaker. I like him a lot. And Vardy's been scoring goals. And a lot of our goals we conceded this year are central. It's been Cher roaming around in GTA 5 settings, is roaming around, getting caught out of position. There's Dan Burn getting caught out. I worry about Vardy, El Khanous, and McAteer, Buonanotte on the counter. That's what I worry about. How I think the game's going to go on Saturday is similar to when we played Brighton at home a month or two ago. I think we'll start out dominant. I think we'll pepper your goal. Your goalkeeper will make a bunch of crazy saves, some great clearances from your defenders. And then I think around the 35th, 40th minute, when it's like, we need to score. We've been on their necks for a long time. We've had chances. We've either missed a sitter or your goalkeeper's making phenomenal saves. Like, we look like we're going to score a goal. And then we have that 5 minutes where we take our foot off the gas a bit and someone gets caught out of position. And then, bam, you score. That's exactly what I worry about. Hence why I'm going with a 1-0 Leicester win.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. But the thing is, we've got our attacking forces there. I don't think we're keeping a clean sheet this game. The way that we're playing, and especially with some of our players being out, this is it again, as Chester put in the chat as well. Skips and Chowdhury, I'm worried for the game. Again, this game as a one-off isn't a problem, but our running is tough till the end of the year. I think we've got just going through them. Look, some of the lineups we've got a tough run in, and Ruud's got. I'm not going to blame him, but we've got a really hard run in. Let's get into this. We've got you guys, then Wolves, and now all of the bloody things reset. I need to find them, but I think it's Wolves, and then after Wolves, we've got Liverpool, and then we've got Man City, then we've got Aston Villa in the new year. So it's not looking good. Clean sheet for Leicester, not with a Newcastle attack. I mean, you are again. Our midfield is where we're going to lose it. And our defence is Connor Cody and Yannick Vestergaard, who's probably going to be our centre duo. Isak can have a field day, especially with Harvey Barnes and things. I think you will score goals.
Yeah, I mean, there's no reason why we shouldn't be scoring goals. There's not many reasons why we should be losing or why, but there's no reason why we should be, getting smoked by Fulham 3-1. Brentford smoked us 4-2. We've had some awful results this year, some really awful. But then, and this is my problem, bro. You guys are not Man City, Arsenal, Liverpool, or Chelsea.
Yeah,
we've our best performances this year have been versus those four teams, and Nottingham Forest away, who are in form at the time, doing really, really well. So this is what again, I'm going to go back to Spurs because we do really share a lot of similarities with them. Luckily, we don't have the same owner. Our owners are way better. It's like we have a future. They really don't. But besides that, at the moment, they perform really well against the top teams. But then they screw up versus Ipswich. They screw up versus, Bournemouth. So that we're not going to, even if we win, we won't play well. And even if we play well, we could lose. This is the problem. We're just a complete, you don't know what we're going to get. You only know that we're going to be inconsistent.
Consistently inconsistent. I hear
that. Exactly.
And that's something that, again, I'm with you. And I've definitely been there with teams. And it's confusing supporting them because you're like, I appreciate that even there's not a formation, I don't know what's going to happen. But it's still like, I'm not happy with it because the teams, the worst thing in the world is having a team. You're having a team that is underperforming when you know they can do way better. That is much better. You'd rather have a team that's shocking. You know how you had under. Where did you finish when you came up under Benitez? Was it like top 10 or 11th place or something?
Yeah, we were. I mean, all the Mike Ashley years. Like I knew what it was going to be a relegation battle the whole year, and we get embarrassed in the cups. So it was like whatever. That was it. Wasn't easier, but it was just like it wasn't a shock.
Yeah, I hear you. And then just on this, let's go to again a couple of other bits as well. Just because I'm not going to have time to do the other show because I'm going down to actually London tomorrow. But again, as Ruud mentions, the under 23, he did, and that's something I want to bring up actually. And we've never seen a manager. Apparently, Steve Cooper was this always developing young players manager. Anyway, that's another. I'm so glad I don't have to talk about him. So, he's mentioned again about Ruud van Nistelrooy's come in. He's been brilliant so far. And he's mentioned two players again, Jadon Joseph is right back and Henry Cartwright. I asked one of our residents who I've got, if there's a guy to follow on Twitter, there's a guy called Joaquin who I want to mention, get his thoughts on here because he is very, very good relating to this. Let me see if I can find this one. I've lost it. No, I've got to go Joaquin. But he's been talking about some of these players for a while now. If I can find that, I'll find that.
I saw you retweeted about the 15-year-old winger, English.
Oh, yeah. Jeremy Monga. Yeah, he's going to be another player from our academy. The problem is we've had two players, and that every Leicester fan knows there's two players. So one called Sammy Braybrook, one called Will Alves. These two have been hanging around since they were like 15, 16 years old. They both played for England. They've both done really well. We thought Enzo would give him a chance. Didn't. Then Steve Cooper didn't give anybody a chance.
Yeah. Would play players wildly out of position. instead of yeah.
Don't even start, man. I will. I've had it. I'm so glad he's gone, but bloody hell, he was shocking. And then another player to mention as well. Yeah, nobody would know about Monga. I know. Monga, we just don't, because we've had a player, Nick, for Man City, took one of ours, and then what was his name? Inyoni, before he's gone to Liverpool. He was from our academy as well, but they gave him a fat contract. So like, fair enough. But again, all the best for him. Anyway, I think that's pretty much everything. Last question before we go. Let me bring up the table at the moment. It's a bit more obvious than it was in the last couple of weeks. Who are your 3 teams to get relegated in this season?
Everton, Wolves, Southampton. As of right now. Yeah, Dyche is awful, man.
But he's got away, man. Dyche has got away keeping teams up, and Everton have a relegation team. I would agree with you. They have a championship team, or a team that you used to think of in like 16, 17 of like good players. Now they're all pretty much washed up. Everton find a way every single year of staying up. I have no idea how.
But what I would say about that, Neil, is remember Sunderland for 3, 4, 5 straight years battling relegation. They had a great escape. Eventually, when you battle relegation for a consistent amount of years, you eventually go down.
So if Everton go down, who takes their place? Who comes out for them?
Are you talking manager? Or I think Ipswich survived. That's what it is. They got goals. They are a bit gung ho. I agree with you there, but like when you win at Spurs, nobody thought going into the season that they'd get a win versus Spurs. They also got a point versus. That's the thing. It's important when you're in a relegation battle to get the points versus the teams around you, but those bonus points versus the top 6 teams, when you get a freak result or a draw where nobody thought you would get nothing, and then the team on the same day around you loses to one of those like greater teams. Like I remember like we beat Man City a few years ago, and that was a big part of us surviving at St. James's Park. We beat them somehow under Bruce.
But if you look at their form, what is their form? They've had one win just recently, but they've had one win all season. Steve, they aren't looking good. Like, I get it, and what they've done, I think they've taken a gamble. I think they've gone, we're going to try and create a really good team.
Yeah.
Or if we go back down, we're going to take it.
What Luton did last year.
Exactly. We're going to play a risk, and the risk, if it works out, we're going to look like geniuses. If we don't, we're going down with one of the strongest championship squads with young up and coming players. So I think they're safe, and they've come up such a small amount. Very well, 2 years ago they're in the League One. It's okay to just take your time and come back. They could be, but I just think it's too much too soon. Even the manager. Nobody would say that McKenna's not a good manager, but maybe it's just too soon to take us up to the Premier League, and that is totally fine.
Yeah, but what I also look at with Ipswich Town is they have goals in them. That Everton team has not many goals in them. Yeah. Like Amari Hutchinson will get you a few goals. Delap and Smodic, because Smodic's been picking up. I think he's had a decent season so far. I worry about them in defense a little bit, but like I don't know. They just give me the vibe of like someone that will eventually figure it out, because they'll surprise another team. And with Everton, they ain't surprising nobody. Arsenal going to beat them 3 or 4-0 on the weekend if Arsenal are any decent, if they are at any decent level. So yeah, I think that's front three, that bottom 3. I think Ipswich survive and Everton go down.
Fair enough. I think I'm with you. I think that I wasn't convinced about Wolves, but then people said the same thing about us the year that we went down. Oh, you'll be fine. You'll figure it out. No,
look at how many goals they've conceded, man. 36.
36 is
no
incredible.
Chance. No chance. And they've scored 22. They've scored more goals. Wolves have scored more goals than Southampton, Ipswich, Crystal Palace, Leicester City, Everton, Man United, Newcastle. There's probably a few more when you go up the table. They've scored what? More than Fulham, more than Bournemouth, the same amount as Brighton. So their attack, but the problem is when your defense is the worst comfortably, you're going down.
Yeah. And that's what it is. It's one The year that we went down, I was the same with you because your defense was awful, not because the year you went down. I think your team was awful altogether, but
Yeah.
I think defense is such an underrated position. People want to talk about, for example, Isak. People mention, and Isak in general, I think is going a great striker. We'll probably come on to him before we finish up because I know you've got to go for your live stream now soon.
Yeah.
But defenses are where relegations stay above and where
Winners
titles are won.
Yeah.
It's built on it's a solid defense. Before we go again, one player we got to mention again, Guimaraes and Isak. Can't believe we've got 55 minutes. I'll mention both of those, but is it, are they over? Are they, how, from the outside, they're your two biggest players. Are they equally rated? Are they underrated, overrated? What do you make of them?
I mean, Bruno this year has been inconsistent. Isak hasn't had the best of overall years, but like scoring wise, he's done good. Yeah, I think Bruno. The problem with Bruno is that we made him captain, and I don't think he's quite captain material, to be honest. I would have given it to like a Joe Ellington or someone like that, personally, or maybe even a Dan Burn, someone like that. But yeah, I think they're rated pretty well, but they've under-delivered, particularly Bruno, I would say. Because Isak will score goals.
He does. And I think, again, it's the consistency and the injuries. There's the two things that's going to stop him literally becoming world-class because he's such a good stream. Anyway, I will end the stream because I know you've got to jump over to your channel.
What's your prediction for the game, by the way? I'm saying 1-0 Leicester. I got no hope. No hope no more.
Oh, I don't know. 2-2. 2-2.
Wouldn't be surprised at all.
I think our defense is lacking. I think your midfield could run through our midfield. But yeah, but other than that, 2-2, I'd say, just from gut feeling. Steve, again, it's been a pleasure, mate. Thanks for covering me while my internet decided to actually have an absolute meltdown. We're going live on your channel in just a second. I might jump again. If you send me the link, I'll try and jump over and try and bring
I'll be on the playback. I'm doing a dual stream of Flawless. So I'll be on the Sarcasm
City. Oh, brilliant. So I'll be on the Sarcasm City TV. I'll be able to, whether we'll be able to find that, I'll try and find the link for playback as well. Might jump on in a bit and put the link below. So if you want to go and watch us there, make sure you do. Again, check out Sarcasm City TV on there, and we'll be able to join you there. Go join over there. We'll see you and Steve in a bit. We'll also, for the stream for the next game, we're going to be on Blue Tinted Glasses, and make sure you tune in after the game on Blue Tinted Glasses. You'll see me in a that's a surprise. Let's just say that on Blue Tinted Glasses. I'll see you all then. Like, subscribe, follow Steve. I'll see you all then. So goodbye.
Let's go. Peace.